Hello, online seminary teachers. I'm going to show you how I use the tools in Canvas to stay organized when I'm teaching online seminary. One of the things I do is I change the title of every module to include the date and the day of the week. That's for two reasons. One is we do have to track completion in Canvas and then put it in WISE so that the church gets the record of how much seminary they've completed. So when I have the date here on Canvas, it's easy for me to open a new window in WISE and then see which day on the WISE calendar equals which day in Canvas. And then the other reason was there are lessons that we skip publishing because we have live class or whatever, and so there were some students who felt like, oh, I wanted to do lesson 83, but I didn't want to start it until I did 82, and I noticed 82 was missing, and then I had to say, well, that's because we taught it in the live class and you weren't there and you forgot. And so anyway, I changed the title by clicking the three dots for any module, clicking edit, and then you can just add whatever text you want right there and click update module. So that's how I change the titles. I do about a week at a time just because lessons get shifted around, and I still edit the first page of each lesson to have a note from me or the announcements for the day. So I wait until after I'm done editing the first page of the lesson, and then I come in here and add it to the calendar. So first thing I'm going to show you, if you right click on the very first page of the lesson and open it in a new tab, that will prevent you from having to reload this modules page every time. So when I click over here, you can see that it's loading the very first page of the lesson, and there's a link up here, and we're going to end up copying that link when we are done with this part. Okay, so then I'm going to open a calendar with a right click or two finger click on a Mac, open in a new tab, and that way I've got a modules page open, the lesson page I'm going to put in the calendar, and the calendar itself. So when we look at the calendar, there are several calendars that you can have displaying on your calendar. So the first one is usually your personal calendar, and then you've got your courses. So if you're going to add things to your Book of Mormon 2 course, you want to make sure that it's not gray. It needs to have the color there so that it will show up on your page for your students and for you. And then we're going to click the three dots, and you can change the color there if you'd like to do that. Okay, so I've already added one for Monday. Let's go to Tuesday, and I'm going to click anywhere in that box, and I can click event, assignment, to do, or appointment group. I only use event. I used to try to use experimenting with the assignment, but it put a due date on it, and it just wasn't working for my class. So I just use the event, and I'm going to type in lesson 86, and let me remind myself what 86 is. Alma 25 and 26. Now, you don't have to type in the scripture passage there. I do it just because I think it's nice for me and the calendar view to see exactly what chapters are each day without having to open the link. And then you don't have to fill this in, but since I've typed it in enough times, it like auto fills in the list here for me. This is important. You need to make sure the calendar you choose is the one you want showing up. So if you only use your personal calendar, it won't show up for students. So we're clicking Book of Mormon 2, and then I'm going to click More Options. And it's going to pull up a box that we can put the link in. Now, if you don't care what your text looks like, you could go straight here and click Control-C or Command-C and just drop that link in there. And that would take you to the very first page of the lesson. There's another way to do it that looks a little bit cleaner and not so long on the calendar, and that's by using this link right here. If you want to link something from the internet, you can just use an external link. But for this, we're going to use the course link. I'll show you what the options are. So the curriculum that comes from Salt Lake is already divided into pages, assignments, quizzes, announcements. Announcements are things you create, discussions, modules. So we're going to click modules. I've tried before adding the page, and I think I've discovered that sometimes that means it breaks the ability to forward to the next page of the module because you're linking the page and not the page within the module. So I click on modules, and all the lessons I've retitled show up here with those retitles. If you didn't retitle them, that's what they look like there, which is fine because I already have up here that I want 86, so I can just click on 86. And it's going to drop that text in there. So one thing to keep in mind is you could leave this the way it is if you want to link to the first page of the lesson, you do need to change it. Right now, this link will take you to the modules page, which for students doesn't take a super long time to load. You may decide that you want to do that and have them be able to look at the modules page in case they remember, oh yeah, I forgot to finish yesterday's lesson. But if you want to change it to be the first page of the lesson, you would click here, then click Link Options, and this is the link that takes you to the modules page, but we would like it, or you could link it to this one. So again, I can push Command C or Control C, and I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to paste it into this box here, and then I click Done, and that link is updated, which means then I don't need this one anymore. Okay, so then we can click Create Event. And it's loading. And you can see that if the students click here, they will get a link that will take them right into the first page of the lesson. Okay, so a couple other things to keep in mind. I, as a teacher, can get into this lesson right now because I'm the teacher, but it's not a published lesson right now. So students will see this on the calendar, but when they click on it, it won't take them to the lesson. It'll like give them an error message or something. I can't remember exactly what it says, but they won't be able to get into the lesson until you publish it. Another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes I've noticed when I edit this page, it will change the link slightly in here. So that's another reason why I don't do a ton of lessons on the calendar at once anymore, or at least putting the links in there so that that way, if I change it, I don't have to redo the link. Okay, so we talked about changing the titles of the modules if that helps you stay organized. We talked about putting them in the calendar and how to link them in the calendar, whether you want to link to the modules page or link to the first page of each lesson. You've got a couple of choices there. The last thing I want to show you is how I keep track of where I've graded. So I have graded up through this so far. So I just put finished grading. And I want this to only be on my calendar because I don't want students to have to see that. Okay, now I haven't entered anything into Wise yet. I think I've done this one. So I would add another one that says transferred to Wise. I think that's how you spell transferred. Okay, now what that means is every time I finish grading, I just drag and drop this to another page, to another day, so I can keep track of where I left off. Once I've transferred it to Wise, I move it over. And that's how I can keep track of where I left off. Now, that doesn't take care of makeup work, because when students go back and do makeup work, then you kind of have to go back and see what was already done. But that can be tracked in the grades page or the gradebook page. So, hope something in there helps. I know that was a little longer than I had hoped for, but if you have any more questions and you want to reach out to me, my name's Nicole Douglas, and you can send me a message on Facebook. Thanks.